this thing on? Well, welcome to day 2. I'm excited to be on stage with these 3. They are all absolute killers. I'm going to give everyone a little opportunity to introduce themselves, say what market they're in, and then we'll get into a little conversation. So, Tiffany.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. I'm Tiffany Pantozzi, founder of Align Real Estate. We are in Florida. I am personally based out of Central Florida, in Orlando, so the greater Orlando area, and our team spans, okay, right after lunch. I didn't drink at lunch, I promise. Spans over to Tampa, Sarasota, St. Pete. We have an agent in Miami, but I'm in Orlando if you ever need anybody there.
Killer.
I'm Paige Schulte. I'm out of Gig Harbor, Washington. It's not in Seattle, about an hour from Seattle, near Tacoma. And we have a small micro team where there's 4 of us. And is that it? Yeah. I got 3 kids, a dog and a husband, and we...
Last name, or
Schulte?
no.
Oh.
Mother's maiden name, social security number, credit card, please.
My name is Tim Collom, House Real Estate, Sacramento. For those that are out there, I have a team of 21, and we're all over kind of the Sacramento region.
Killer. Let's get into this. Let's talk about becoming a local or hyper-local influencer. Paige, I heard when we did a prep talk, we were talking about what you do and your strategy and how you got to where you're at. You moved into a neighborhood or an area that you knew nobody. So how did you start and then not just start, but explode your business?
Well, so I used to live in East Sac, in Tim's town. Tim owns East Sac, so I had to move, just kidding. I was not in real estate. I moved to Gig Harbor 7 years ago. I've been an agent for 6 years, and I knew one person. She was my friend in East Sac, and I went to visit, and then I was like, I like it here. If I moved to the burbs, I would go here, and then I picked up and moved on a whim, and scaled there. So now I'm the #1 agent in our market, and we did just over 100 million last year. But we went hyper local, and I think I made a very intentional decision to say, I'm going to be well known in one area. I'm going to market to only one area, and all of my outbound marketing will only be for Gig Harbor. So that was kind of identifying my geographic zone of happiness. And that was partly for time and partly because you want to attract the smallest viable market so that you can saturate as quickly as possible and then connect with the connectors in your area.
Yeah, I think what you did really well is rather than sitting there and saying, oh my gosh, there's all this opportunity all the way around me, you sat there and said, instead of shooting a shotgun, I'm going to shoot a sniper straight at what I want. And in marketing, that's very effective. Yeah. You also went into doing a lot of video work in your neighborhood. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I did start. Instagram stories was just coming out at the time, and so I started on video. So I think you'll hear a lot of talk about video. Video is a great way to scale trust, and it doesn't matter what you look like or any of it. You just get on there and you start talking to people. Another easy way to do that, I had an ideal client in my mind. So if anybody, as marketers, you can think of your ideal client. Mine is 35 to 50. She has kids. She's a professional, but might not work anymore. She's a decision maker. She is probably moving up from like 900,000 to 1.5 million. So I have a very clear idea of who I'm marketing to and who I'm talking to when I get online. And you can talk about your town and where you're going and where she might be going. And so you can make those relationships online, on Instagram, in stories, on video, and talk to your ideal client and then create those relationships faster. Does that make sense?
100%. So yeah. I don't want to skip over that because I think this is probably one of the most impactful activities you can do for your business by going in and figuring out who your ideal client is, because if you can figure out your ideal client, right, then you know exactly who you're going after, versus just throwing out a net and hoping something comes in. You know exactly how to attack it, and in marketing, that's number one, right? Step one, right? So Tim, when I started reading about you, I was like, this is sick. This is awesome.
Total weirdo. That's it.
No, amazing, right? Just so you guys know, like Tim is also an amazing artist, right? And he also has an art gallery in the Sacramento airport. He is crushing it on that side, and he's also became very well known into the community by doing different philanthropy efforts and things like that. So talk to me a little bit about that, Tim.
So I actually went to school in Long Beach down here, so it was weird, surreal coming.
Yeah,
and then,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so then came back down here, but it's like, I think it's one of those things that, as far as the community is concerned, I just picked an area, and it was in East Sacramento, and I didn't really know. I didn't know what area, and I started really small, and I started to just work an area over and over and over again. And it was pre-social media. It was like postcards, billboards, phone calls. I don't know if you guys know those, instead of texts and emails and that type of thing. But that's kind of where it started in general. And then worked a certain area and just kept going over and over. I also, full disclosure, I used to like to drink a lot, and I stopped drinking 15 years ago. And ultimately, I had a doctor that told me, like, you got to figure out something to do in the meantime. And I always was, loved art, and art was a big part of my life, and I loved being creative. That was the best part about real estate. And so it was weird. I just kind of got into art and started to do that at night. And what happened was I just developed different collaborations within Sacramento and the community, and have been doing that. I started 23 years ago in real estate, and did basically for the first 13 years or 10 years, no social media, and then the second half was social media, and then it got into the charitable part for me.
So talk to me a little bit about, you said you started in a very small area. What is a small area for you?
Yeah, so Sacramento is a big area, just like Orlando and Washington. You can kind of say, okay, there's a pretty decent size city, but East Sacramento is 8,000 houses. They're all houses that are built in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, all different, from bungalows to Tudors and Mediterraneans to very specific homes. And I just worked and got to know every business inside that area. And I did everything I possibly could. I feel like it's the Truman Show. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but I just sit in the same area and I just wave and do that. And what happened is that it allowed me to get to know everyone. And that was on a level before social media. That was where social we'll get to later on, but obviously that's what happened. And then in the charitable part, the real reason is with art, I started putting it out there, and social media just allowed the platform to do this art and real estate combination, and it's worked incredibly well with our team.
So I'm gonna switch over to Tiffany, but I'm gonna point out something that you had said there. You knew exactly how many houses were in your neighborhood. You knew exactly what the businesses are. Right. And I think when you're looking at becoming a hyper-local influencer, knowing your local market and actually knowing that data is probably one of the most powerful things, because there's a lot of agents that say they want to go into a neighborhood, but you ask them how many homes are there, and they'll say, I'm not really sure.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
So I love that. Now, social. It's like the queen of social media. If you've seen her branding, if you've seen what she's done, she crushes it, right?
Thank you.
So then there it is on screen. So Tiffany, talk to me about your background. I know a little bit more about your background. You were with the Miami Dolphins, right? Mm-hmm. And then you got into real estate down the line. How did you decide how to brand? Where did this come from?
Right. So I'm originally from Miami, Florida, and I moved to Orlando, Florida, and I got into real estate. And I didn't know anybody there. I moved to a place where I didn't have any friends. I moved there for a guy at the time who's now my husband, so it worked out, thank God, right? But I didn't know anybody, and we had this thing called social media, right? And I was like, well, I'm gonna start to brand myself through this platform and get eyes on my business, and so I started getting out there and just creating so much content. I was looking like I was just doing I had so much business, right? And all I was doing was sharing information, right? I was educating people about local businesses, or why is it cool to live in Orlando, right? This Miami girl going to Orlando, like, what is great about Orlando? It's so much more than Disney World. I mean, it's cool to have Mickey as my neighbor, right? But at the same time, people only think of Orlando as Disney World. But there's some beautiful, incredible communities, and and we live there. So be able to share that through social media. I mean, I remember friends of mine reaching out to me like, Tiffany, you're crushing it in the beginning of my business, and I hadn't sold like one house, Meanwhile, I was doing open houses at other agents' properties and doing tours of those houses, educating about the communities, telling, new things coming to town. So I really like to look at myself not only as a real estate advisor, but a lifestyle advisor, okay? Because it's more than just the home. And now Florida is such a relocation state. People are coming from all over, as we all know, and they want to know, but where do I live in Florida? We have great places. Everybody knows about Miami, right? And now Tampa's on the map. We have a cool place called St. Pete, Sarasota, you have Naples, we have Jacksonville, and Orlando, and many others. But it was about educating people and becoming essentially like your local media company, where I want to know that I'm the resource. People are going to come to me, come to my page and say, she's telling us about that great neighborhood and why to live over there. All of my listing videos, they also have a piece about community and the lifestyle you can live if you buy this house. It's not just about that house, right? Because that's kind of boring sometimes. Yeah. So I go beyond.
So now, this is a question for all of you, because I actually didn't even realize this before we came up here, but you guys all picked a new area and then you were like, let's dive into there. And that's a scary thing, right?
Yes.
Getting into a market that you don't know, that you're trying to figure out. So what did that feel like going into a new market, Paige, going into a brand new market and not knowing really anything and having to learn it all?
Well, I just took them along with me. First of all, I was a brand new agent, so I was like, well, people kind of hate real estate agents anyway, so if I fail, that's fine. And so sorry. But I figured if I'm going to go learn about it, I'll just tell people about it as I take them along with me. And so I was like, well, here's Seacliff, and here's how you can see Mount Rainier from here, and showed them as we went. And then I thought about what do my clients want to know about as they're moving here, and so we talked about schools and we talked about business owners. But what I was really missing when I moved there was coming from East Sac. It was so friendly, and Washington has a lot of rain, and it's gloomy and cloudy, and so I worked on actually getting face-to-face with people and meeting all of the business owners. And so while we did a lot on social and scaled on social, we spent a lot more time in front of people and doing interviews with business owners. Everything that I've ever done on social, there's been an effort to get them off of social media, into an email list, and in person, because you do not own social media, and so every effort is made to get them onto an email list and into a place where you own it. And I think that's an important thing to remember.
100%. Tim, how did you feel going into a new market, or the market that you're in, and basically saying, these 8,000 houses, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, it's such a good question, because it takes you back, and it's been such a journey. At first, you're just uncomfortable, but you fall back on that you really love people. I mean, that's why I love what I do, and then you want to help people. And for me, it was a game of getting to know as many people. And everyone would be like, oh, did you grow up in Sacramento? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I grew up actually in the Bay Area, so for all the Bay Area people, I was supposed to go back there. I told my mom I'm coming back to the Bay Area, do some type of startup company, might have been side, who knows. But ultimately, you walk in just like you walk in here, and you develop relationships. And I love the beauty of this is that when you come here, you really don't know anyone. You go in, it's your first side event, and you walk around, and the first time I just walked around, didn't know really anyone except for like Ashley and Ryan and my business managers and Hillary and some of the people. But then you get to know people. Then you come back the second time and you start to say, what's up? And it's a hug and all of those things. Third time, same thing. Well, that's what I did. I knocked on doors just like a lot of the people did in the beginning. And I went around and I was in the SAC B, and they said, this guy's knocking on doors, and I just turned into that guy. But after the second time and people turned hoses on me and telling me to get off their doorsteps and all this different stuff, I basically got familiarity in the neighborhood, and then they saw me. Now if I go and knock on a door, which I do, and they go, oh, is the market that bad, Tim? And that's where I'm like, oh, okay. So I think for me it was a game, Cyrus, I think, to be honest. It's one of those things where you get uncomfortable, but what's the alternative? And for me, I love people, I love helping people, and that's what we're all here to do. And by year 5, or side by side by 5, 5th year, I mean, we're all gonna be just like seeing all these new people. And the job is too, instead of saying, man, there's all these new partners and oh my gosh, where are my old friends? Like, go meet the new ones. And that's what I've been doing the whole time here.
I love that. I love that. And Tiffany, you moved to Orlando for your now husband. Were you scared going into a market and being a new agent and being like, what the heck do I do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was scared because I moved somewhere, like I knew everybody in Miami. I was cheering for the Dolphins. I had a successful business, and I had great connections there. I wish I was in real estate when I was in Miami. I missed the boat there. But it's okay. I built a great business in Orlando, and it's funny, going into real estate, I actually used to cringe. I love telling this because I used to be like, oh, I'm not going to be a realtor. You're only a realtor when you fail at everything else, right? And that's a horrible thing to say.
Classic.
It's horrible, but that's what I used to think, right? And now look at me. But I think that I needed to, and I'll tell you this, I was never really introduced to realtors that impressed me, okay? And now I'm surrounded by so many. And my way that I like to move forward in this business and present myself and my business is to elevate the idea of what a realtor is and the services that we provide and just be better, right? So for me now, have a whole new look on what I think about this profession and how I want to build my business and the people I want to engage with in my business. And we're the coolest, ever now, right?
I love that. I heard something that was in every single one of your answer, and it was all about relationships. Why is that? We're in business, we're in real estate, we sell houses. What the heck about relationships? What does that even mean?
The most human real estate agent wins.
Say that again?
The most human, did I say that? The most human real estate agent wins.
I love that. I love that.
It's just hands down. The more you get in person with people, the more you connect with them, the more you serve, the more you do charitable goods, the more you try to put the spotlight on small businesses and serve other people along with our clients, the more you will become known and they will bring it back to you. And it might not be right away, but it'll be, in the 5 years in the future.
Yeah.
And I just think that, the word influence, and we're influencing others, it's more about not just influence, it's educating others, inspiring others, right? So maybe I'm educating a buyer moving from California about why it's a great place to live, or I'm inspiring another agent from another market to get on camera and share more in social and just be authentic and be yourself. Some of the rants that I go on social media, they're my best engaged content, People want to know you, they want to, and they're able to do that through social media and connecting.
Make sure I turn my mic back on. I think that's it comes down to people work with people they like, right? You could be going up against the number one. You could be a brand new agent in a specific market and go up against the number one agent in that market. But if they vibe with you more, you're gonna come out with that listing, right? Now, you all had also touched base on local businesses. Why is that even important?
I think for local business owners, they are on the same playing field as you are, and they all are trying to get to know as many people and get to know the people that are in the neighborhoods. And I think for me, it's such an easy walk-in. And my thing is I walk in and I'm like, how can I help your business? And how can I refer you? It's not what's in it for me. I think the 1950s, 1960s style of sales is like, you know what? This is who I am. I'm a real estate agent. I'm like knocking on doors. I'm doing things. I'm going to go to your business. I'm going to ask you for business. It's really what you can provide for them. And then also it's just really natural. Like you can go and say, listen, I go to these restaurants and that's part of it. And you're just documenting your journey. And it's what you're doing throughout your community. And they start to see different things. And you take a snapshot of the sushi that's at Crew Restaurant that I do every Tuesday night or whatever it is. And people here will be like, where's Crew? And every time they like come to Sacramento, they're like, okay, this is what it is. Well, the owners know owners. All of those business owners hang out, the restaurant guys all hang out with 20 other restaurant guys. So we do so many different collaborations with them. And I think business owners are all in the same spot that you are because they're like, well, we want business and we want to be within this hyper-local community. And I think that's where, to me, it's just getting to know everyone, and everyone includes those business owners.
Yeah, I love that. Do you guys agree with that, or do you have any input on this?
Absolutely.
Well, I always say I'm an entrepreneur that is in real estate, and those are my people. Like, I needed them because I missed having the collaboration, and real estate is a lonely sport. And so those were people that I needed to have those business-minded conversations, but that's who I went with. They are connectors, and they are connected to people, and so being new, those were the people that I wanted in my tribe, and then those were the people that I could shine a light on. And I interviewed all of them. I made a coffee table book all about the small businesses, sharing the human side of what they brought, their value wedge that they brought to Gig Harbor, and the first version was hard. But it was beautiful. And then we did a second version that was like insane, and that like got way more traction. But both versions are exclusive, and they're amazing, and it was such a gift to the community. We did it for free, and it was expensive but worth it. And we'll do a third version as well, because like people are begging for it now.
How do you use that to gain more business? You made a coffee table book about the area and the local businesses and things like that, but like...
Well, everything, so we did photo shoots of all the businesses. We did an interview with every single business owner. So we gave them all the photos, and now we have a curated gallery of like 50 businesses around Gig Harbor, which is amazing, so that we can use them for all of our social media. They have it for themselves. It up-leveled our whole town's social media presence of every single business, which was so cool.
So you fronted, I just want to make sure we don't skip over it.
Right.
You fronted the expense.
Yes.
You got all of the photos of the local businesses, and then you said, here's the photos. To all of these businesses, and then you were able to use them for your stuff as well.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I'm a big believer in abundance mindset, and some people are like, oh, those are mine, but like I think this is the win.
Yeah. And then we wrote blogs, and we went to YouTube with it. We distributed everywhere. So Google Business Profile, everywhere. So then they saw that it was being spread everywhere, and we were telling their story to everyone, not just on print. Like, the book was like the first nugget, and then it went everywhere. We were like, holy shit, we have this all in digital. Like, this can go everywhere. And like, didn't realize the layers of this. And then obviously we give it to all of our buyers when they come to town. A buyer that we meet online gets a mailed copy to them. It's in every hotel, Airbnb, inside all the businesses. It was just an idea that felt like it was kind of baller and outside the box, and then ended up being like one of the most significant touch points, plus a real true connection to all of those business owners.
And you got it placed in all of the local businesses because, obviously,
it's all about them.
It's all about them, right?
Yeah.
You got it,
and we give it away for free. So
it's
it's high quality. Like, we didn't skimp on it. You want it as a reflection of your brand. So it's a beautiful little gift to the community. And I think if you know Washington or Seattle, like, I don't make it a secret that I'm from California, but they really hate us. And so it did help with my street cred to be like, I promise I'm here to stay, and like, I'm a giver.
I also don't want to skip over the fact that she also did something that's really cool, that if you're not doing it in your business as it is, like, repurposing content is probably one of the biggest hacks in business as far as having influence, right? Like, every single video, using it on every single platform, cutting it into short form, long form, so on and so forth. You essentially did that with a coffee book, which is amazing.
Before Google Business Profile it was like, what was it, Google My Business or something? We put all of those, in the first version of the book, we put it all, like, dripped it onto Google Business Profile, and before it was a thing, and we were coming up in Siri, like, Gig Harbor top real estate agent, and it was like, Paige Schulte, and I was like, first year in business, and I was like, how'd you hear about me? They're like, oh, I Siri top real estate agent, and it was like me, and I I was like, what the?
SEO, it actually works.
It was really funny. I was like,
that's cool.
Holy shit.
That's cool. Tiffany, speaking of repurposing content, again, queen of social media, how do you create content to be able to repurpose and use on all the the different platforms?
Right.
Video content, social media content, so on and so forth.
Well, first and foremost, I like to start with video. Video to me is #1 focus moving forward. I mean, I've done a great job with growing my Instagram, you know, and there's so many platforms out there. I have to tell you, don't try to be, you know, the best at all of them. Kind of take one, dominate it, and then, you know, you could slice things up and put it out and distribute on other platforms. So I've done a good job of really growing my Instagram, but the focus is moving forward is all about YouTube. And for us, we can do a video, and there's so much content you can create from it, you know, and the different reels that you can create to put on Instagram, or a short that you can put on YouTube. I mean, you have your full video of a listing, and then you could do little, you know, smaller ones where maybe there's a voiceover where you're explaining some of your favorite parts of the house, you know, and then again, talking about the community. There's so many different ways to break up content from one video, and you're investing your time, you're investing your money in creating this content, right? You're spending time doing it. You might as well leverage it to your advantage. And so even with some of the content, you know, I like to do a lot of collaborations and featuring local businesses, and you don't realize they might take that video and post it on their Facebook, and now you're in front of all of their clients, right? You just expanded, you just 10 times your network just from creating good content and educating people with free information, right? And you're being looked at as, oh, wow, that person's an authority in that market. They really know that market. Again, you're building trust. So I think you can really get a lot out of working with other people, collaborating. Maybe it's a lender, maybe it's a title person, whatever. Tell a story, tell about a market update. You don't realize even going to other resources, like you can go to Keeping Current Matters, read a recent article, sit your little phone there, now regurgitate what you just took away from that article. You know, you don't have to be the creator of this organic, you know, brand new content at all times. You can regurgitate it and break it up and take something from an article that you read and an idea that you saw and make it your own, right?
So do you think that and this is a question for everybody, but do you think that touching base with those local businesses and building the content around there is really a big, huge step forward in creating that influence in those communities?
Huge, just because recently we went to this new omakase restaurant. I love sushi, and it's a brand new place in Orlando. And we don't have a lot of really high-end restaurants in Orlando. We're working on it, and it actually they have a Michelin star. It was a really big deal. Florida just recently got Michelin stars. They didn't have any before. So this restaurant got one, and we went and did a video, and there's like thousands of views on this video about this restaurant that I know it's like a few $100 a head. So the clientele that's gonna go there is gonna be people that, again, are my avatar, ideal client, and they might see me, and then they're gonna come to my page and be like, oh, this girl's all about real estate. Maybe they'll follow me, right? And you never know who's watching, and I don't care if you have 5,000 followers or 5 followers. You have somebody watching you, they're trusting in you, they're liking you. They might have a conversation with a friend and say, hey, call this girl, I saw her on social media. So no matter what, don't worry about a following, okay? Just provide and create great content and information, because that's what's gonna create a ripple effect, and it'll begin to work for you while you sleep, I promise you.
Killer. Tim, you were gonna...
I think for me, it's a challenge because you wanna tell everyone your story and do what you do. And then it's hard because I think real estate agents in a weird way are saturating the market, and just like what we did with postcards and what we did with other things, that we just overdo it. And just posting about houses, like we did 300 plus houses last year, and it was one of those things that if you just post a house every single day, people just get worn out. But if I post my 2-year-old, like doing some stuff, anything, she gets way more likes than any of my listings. Like a 2-year-old, a dog, you know, anything like that. I think that's something that's relatable, right?
People work with people they like.
That's it. And I think the main thing is that I do it in a way that you make it approachable to the community. And I think for us, being in those places, and I did it before House Real Estate, I did it for myself. I was a Tim is Everywhere campaign. And I would put it on a billboard, and I would put it on my ads, and it would be me inside of their business working. So I would go in with Starbucks and say, Tim is everywhere, and I'm as the barista, or I was at the Mexican food restaurant, or I was at the dry cleaners, or I was in the boxing gym at the boxing, but I had the same outfit, Tim is everywhere. People got to know Tim in the community. Now we know what we're doing is House Knows Homes, and that's been, in theory, how we kind of take it throughout the neighborhood. And we start there, but then it's grown because of Side only to all throughout Sacramento. Before it was just me, and that was it, and that's where we all started. And now the other agents are also messaging and doing exactly in concert with our branding and how we work, which is really cool.
How do you utilize your hyper-local influence for recruiting? You have, I mean, you did 300 units.
Right.
How many agents did you say again?
We have 21 agents, and we did 300 million. We started at side with 4 agents.
300 million, sorry.
Yeah, 300 million.
I don't know how many units. How many units is that for you?
337. We were just under $1 million is our average. But we started with 4 agents at 94 million. Came here, and then we did 10 agents at 210, and then third year is 21 agents at 305 million. And so it's been, thank you.
Yeah. A little louder for him.
It's, but it's, and
Yeah,
I don't.
Take that in.
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
come on.
It's hard for me. It's kind of, because I'm surprised and it's surreal, because it really is the platform and what's happened, but I think that it's one of those things that Side allows you to do this. And I think that no matter if you're just starting as a founder or if you're just an agent, that's just starting here, there's just so many ways that you can do it. And so for us, all of the agents now have their own identity, and I think it's very important that they're able to brand themselves. And I think that's a big part. It's hard because in social media, again, we're kind of diluting, and it's all about, I could easily say it's the Tim Show and just say, okay, this is who I am. But I think it's important for each of them to have their own brands because they reach different people in different geographic areas in Sacramento. And what happens is then everyone's like in concert with the same brand message. We do have off-brand things that happen on social media too, where people go to Vegas and things like that. But ultimately, the majority of the time, social media is unbelievable. It's an amplifier, and it makes a huge impact on community, and that's a big deal.
Do you see agents being attracted to your company because of your presence in the community?
Yeah, I think it's word of mouth, and I think that what happens is they see what we're doing. We're giving everyone a behind-the-scenes look, just like Tiffany and Paige do, and I've followed them for a while, and I understand what you just go, God, and it's like a learning thing for me. Like the first session or practice session, they're like, talk about what you do too, but I'm like, I follow these guys, and I'm like, this is so cool. And that's the one thing is you learn from everyone. But I will say that as far as recruiting's concerned, people get to see how authentic we are. And I think that's one thing. And then they watch and they follow the other agents like Melissa Williams and all these other agents that are in our group, and they have the same brand message. And, just like I mentioned to Tiffany, the gentleman that answered that question yesterday to Magic Johnson and was on, I saw him last night at dinner, and he was so cool in person, and he had a line on. And I'm like, it just all works if it works that way, if that makes sense.
There's a power to that, and I'm actually all about it, and I encourage my agents. I say, listen, we have Align Real Estate, right? That's our umbrella, and we can always land back there where we have a brand to be associated with, to be proud of, but it's you guys. You are also the brand, right? It's your name. People are calling you. They're calling me because of Tiffany Pantozzi. They're calling DJ because of DJ, right? And they connect with him, and I also tell my agents too, like, people that want to work with you may not be people that will want to work with me, right? But we do at least have a cohesive brand message that we all support. And, there is a feeling to who Align Real Estate is and the type of agents that we have at Align Real Estate. And yes, it does help with recruiting, and people are drawn to that. And we get emails of agents that are interested in joining our brokerage because of that. And, I get comments, people recognize Jenna, Jenna, she has a brand about her. She knows everything about St. Pete, Tampa. Like, she's your girl if you go there, and she's building her influence and her network also through social media. And it's been very powerful for all of us. But I think that's important to let them also grow themselves as a brand, because again, they're going to attract different people than we would.
I also noticed something, and I'm a really big believer in like one social channel. I don't have like Cyrus, Andre, and then Cyrus, Andre Real Estate. I have like our company thing, but I have just a single one for myself. Why do you feel, and this is a question for anybody, right? Why do you feel that might be necessary when you're building a brand? To have a single Instagram versus
So versus multiples of it? Correct. Well, because I have Tiffany Pantozzi, right?
Correct.
I also have Line Real Estate.
Yep.
And I encourage all of our agents to have their own, and we promote all of them through our team site as well. And there's a lot of people that'll go to that team site and connect with my agents through there, right? So I'm giving them a platform to do that as well. But I mean, we're not spread super thin because it gets confusing too.
Correct, right? So like you have like a brand new agent comes to you and they're like, oh, I just got in the business and I just started my real estate Instagram. It's why does it get confusing though? It's like you have 1,000 followers on your personal Instagram, right?
Use that.
Exactly.
Use that.
Yes.
Clean it up. You know, make sure that the messaging is correct, but use that. I always tell people, like, don't get confused, like, oh, I have to start a brand new page. No, you already have people that know, like, and trust you on your personal page. They're your network. They're your people, right? They're the people in our CRM. Now they're actually watching you on a daily basis. Why would you start a whole new page?
Yeah, you got 100 people in a coffee shop right here listening to you. Why are you going to go to the next coffee shop and say, come over here, buy this instead?
Yes.
Right?
People get hung up on that a lot, and I think that they need to realize that they already have a great little, page that they can start from and now start sharing what you're doing every day, and that'll really work for them.
I love that. Now, Paige, one of the most impressive things that I've heard in a long time as far as a marketing standpoint was your videos that you did with the school district. This is something that, like, if you take one thing, I believe, like, from this conversation, like, it's probably one of the most powerful things you could do for your business. So you went into this new neighborhood and you did what with the school district?
So last year, my ideal client has kids, and we were like, how do we get more of her? And everybody always asks about the schools, and in order for us to not have any bias for talking about schools, we decided to approach the school district and see if we could get inside the walls of the schools and interview the students, teachers, administration, and parents, and we would pay for it all. So they let us inside all 18 schools, and we did it between September and I think our last school films on the 13th. We have one more left. And we gave the schools the B-roll, and they actually have a full video. So it was a partnership with the school district, and now we have a full playlist. I'm on the intro of all of them, and it's attached to our listings. Like, we have a high note of all of them. We leverage that with our listing presentations, and now, I mean, it's a beautiful way to feel the culture of the school. We can use it. We're passing a levy right now, which schools are important for the fabric of our community, and it's at our firm we support school bonds and levies, and every year whenever they're up for renewal, they'll come to us, and we have all that B-roll now, and we give it to them for free. We also usually pay for any footage that they need. But now we have all of that, and we made sure the schools and the parents all got beautiful thank you gifts for even participating, because it was a big lift for us to go into the schools and do it.
And I think the key to what you did is you went to the superintendent of the school district, right? Mm-hmm. And you got the sign off to do all of the schools.
Yeah.
Which is a powerful thing, because if you go into a district and you go to one principal and then okay, hey, I got that, but how do you scale, right? So you went to superintendent.
Yep.
You got sign off from there, and then
we worked with their communication department, and then they basically gave the order to say, it's not a choice. You have to pick a slot.
I love that. And then so it's not a choice, pick a slot. Now you go to all these schools and you're interviewing, you said one person from administration.
Yes, we did principal, a PTA, or like a parent, a couple students, so they usually had two, and then one or two teachers.
And the idea behind each of these videos is to do what?
Our idea was to capture the culture of the school, and then any unique programs that they had that school highlighted. So if they had a program that was specific around special needs or highly capable, or they had the art and music program, or they were a STEM school or something like that, then as parents were sifting through neighborhoods and stuff like that, they could learn about the schools that are attached to that neighborhood. I did get my first call on the videos because they are just now hit the internets. 1.2 million, and she has 3 schools in mind, but she found me from the videos.
So see, this is what I was going to say. Yeah, exactly. you went and you chased exactly what your avatar is.
Exactly.
And you're being proactive in the fact that you understand that you're probably going to also repurpose all of this content, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And over again, now when people are Google searching best schools in Gig Harbor, your face shows up and says, let me show you them.
Yeah.
I love that. It's freaking amazing.
I was also really, really fat, and so don't let that stop you. Just don't let it stop you, okay? Go ahead and watch the videos.
Tim, in your market, there was some fires.
Yeah, so in California, there's the Paradise fires that were happening, and I'm an ambassador for Lululemon, and that comes in handy for a lot of clothes and swag and everything else. And I had a painting that was there. I actually haven't told anyone about this, but it was a painting that was a California painting. And I was on the couch, and I saw these pets that were just around, and I saw people suffering, and it was just bad. And I think it was one of those things where by accident and through social media, and what we did was basically I put one of the prints up, and I said if you donated $40, then we would donate that to the firefighters and the people that are trying to help rescue everyone that's there, and obviously the people who are displaced. And I went to sleep, and the next morning I had $75,000 in an account, and it went viral. And this painting, it's a California print, went viral on the power of social media and community. And this is the one thing I'll say with social media is it doesn't always have to be about real estate. Just be who you are and things happen. And I think that what happened was it just went viral, and ultimately we basically sold and did whatever we could to contribute to the fires, and we donated over $200,000 at the end to the firefighters and their families. And then this year, 2 years ago, we got a sign call, and Tina Suter of our group took it, and it was someone that was looking to develop, and they knew that we were tied with Paradise in the community. And we've represented 30 buyers. She's bought 30 lots up there and represented a seller that's going to rebuild the community. And it was all based on basically putting something out there that, again, that you have no intention of things happening, but they do. And ultimately, if you're in making an impact in the community through your social media, no matter what you do, and everyone in here we talk real estate for 5 minutes, but I'm like, what are you into? Do you fly planes? Do you do this? Do you do that? And everyone has that. And I think with me, I've definitely weighed in and collaborated with the partnerships I've created through art, and then I combine both with real estate. And it's a weird thing to kind of explain to people, but it's worked really, really well. Just be yourself, I guess.
Yeah, again, because people like you and they like what you do and they relate to you, and then they go there. And you said something, you said the power of social media and community.
Right.
There's a book called Contagious, and it's about how things go viral. And it basically talks about this thought process of social media is one thing, but your community is the one who spreads it, right? You can have, because if it went viral, right, and or let's say it just went to your community, how many, you can say, hey, maybe it got $10,000 or something like that, but your community then did what with it?
Yeah, and then the country, they're like, what's next? And then we just did where the frontline workers were short with PPE, and during the coronavirus, and they put my art on the caps, on all the masks and different things, and that went all over the country when there was a shortage, and that was one. And doctors will tag things and that type of thing, but ultimately gave me a purpose to go, how can I help and do it a little bit differently in a way that the community can all back? And I think that's something that all of us at Side can go, you know what, let's figure out what we can do to just get into the community and who needs the most help and be of service of people.
I love that. And Tiffany, you have a knack for your branding and your social and helping your agents really create a brand. When they come to you, are they all, they all are first amazing people. I know your whole team, but their all social presence is amazing. Everything. So how do you structure that? How does that happen?
Kind of by design.
Definitely by design.
Anybody that comes to our company, and again, this is who Align is. This is who my brand is, and the type of people I want to attract and that I want to work with. If they have zero social presence, I don't think they're the right fit for my company, because it's so hard to take you from zero, to where we need them to be, because I'm not looking for 100+ agents. we're small, we want to stay small, you know, quality over quantity. But, so they have to get it, right? But then once we know they get it or they have the potential, we then, when they come in, you know, we have a lot of templates through Marketing Center that we assist them with. We also use Canva a lot, so we give them a lot of resources. We kind of do like an evaluation of them and who they are and their messaging and help them kind of revamp that a little bit to really align with who we are as a company and where we want them to go or where we see their potential. And, you know, polish them up a little bit. And I mean, I give very direct feedback to my team. That's, again, my style. It's a little bit more rough on the edges and just kind of like direct with my team and because I see the potential in them. But yeah, we do spend a lot of time on teaching them about branding and marketing and their image and how to share information, how to be on video. I do some workshops with my team about this very specifically in depth. I work with my videographers. I bring them in to practice. Listen, we do stuff that's scripted, stuff that's not scripted, and I bring my videographer in and I have them practice with me. So I am helping them to understand what they need to do to have a good presence and that is still fun, relatable, professional, and really connects to who we are at Align.
I think that's, you said something in the very beginning of that, and I thought I heard a chuckle in the crowd, but it's, you know, if they don't have a social media presence, they're not the right fit for you. And this goes back to what we've been talking about this whole time is relationships. And it goes back to who your people are, and it goes back to who your ideal client is, and it can go all the way through recruiting, through your business and everything. You're finding the people that are the right fit for your company. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Side in general because it's one brokerage, but it's so many different types of cultures all in one.
And there's other brokers from Side in our markets. Maybe they're a better fit. You know, and again, I don't want to discourage somebody like they don't have the potential to be great because everybody does in their own way. But like if they're not on social today, they may not believe in it in the way I believe in it, right? And I need them to believe in what it can do for them because I know what it did for me. So even if they're on, but they're not really great, I'm like, I can help you. Because you get it at least and you're trying. But if you're not on at all, you're just not the right fit for me.
Yeah. Now, we're almost gonna have to wrap up because we're almost out of time.
3 minutes.
But, yeah, exactly. But I have one last question for each of you. And it is, now you guys have all done video, you have social media presence, you talk to all of the businesses. There's a lot of stuff in here for people to do. If you had to tell somebody to do one thing when they go back home to execute on that you feel will change their business and start on that trajectory, what would it be? Go for it.
For me, it's get out of your own way and don't worry about how many followers you have and consistently post 2 to 3 times a week. And for me, I've been doing that. My first, I went back and I looked at what my first Facebook or like some of the things that were going on when I first joined. And it was 13 years ago, and it was actually a news company that said that I was being controversial because I was taking people through houses with social media. And people were being like, oh, it's an invasion of privacy, it's this. And I was showing like people's houses. And that was way back when. And I just look, and Paige said it in one of our prep sessions, but I think it's, for me, what I've done is I've consistently done posting about what I'm doing and who I am for the last 13 years. And it doesn't matter what comes out, and stop getting ready to get ready. And it doesn't matter how many followers anyone has. You just have to post about who you are and what you're doing and be true to yourself.
Love that.
Stop getting ready to get ready. I'm taking that one home. Thank you.
Paige?
Well, if I had to pick a platform right now that I think is doing really well, I think Google Business Profile is like the place to be, and YouTube Shorts. But consistency is everything, so if you just pick a lane and be consistent, I would create before you consume. And if you are following a bunch of agents, especially in your market, that do not light you up and steal your joy, unfollow them and stay in your lane. Like, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
Good, so good.
Yes.
So just unfollow them and like take away the distraction. That way you can just execute on your vision.
Yeah.
I love that.
Agree. Even I feel that way sometimes, and I've built a very great, strong platform, and I just had a baby 4.5 months ago, and I'm at moments I'm watching other agents, I'm like, I'm falling behind, or like I'm starting to feel, and it's so unhealthy. So stop comparing yourself. You're special in your own way, and do your thing, and your people are going to attract to you because of you and your magic, right? But my one thing I would tell you is, if you're not on it yet, get on YouTube. There's so many different ways that you can do it. Actually, I'm speaking next about my strategy and like giving it all away about what I do on YouTube and stuff. But get a YouTube page, start sharing on there. I closed $5.5 million from 3 deals last year, specifically from YouTube. Got a $1.3 million listing we just launched this year from YouTube. It's working. I'm like double, tripling down on it. And for the way that I market my business, it's gonna really be impactful. So get YouTube if you don't have it.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Can we give it a round of applause?
Can we also just say Cyrus by far has the best outfit I've seen, best dress. Like, that's my first impression of him. I'm like, this guy is awesome.
And if you don't know him, follow him. He has so many bombs that he's always dropping with great knowledge, great information. We became instant friends when we met each other at YPN in Chicago. And I mean, I just love that we can have so much to learn from each other. I mean, no matter what level you are in your business, I promise you there's still so much to learn. So collaborate, network with each other. That's what it's all about here at Side.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.